Alright, we're live. Okay. Chodesh Tov, Shavua Tov, and Shana Tova. Today is the second day of Iyar. Beit Iyar, Le'elu Nishmat, Devoyer Mirel Bas Shmuel, my wife's grandmother, and Eliyahu Chaim. This is Le'elu Nishmat.
Eliyahu Chaim ben Ella.
Eliyahu Chaim ben Ella.
להבדיל רפואה שלמה, רחל בת
להבדיל
חנה.
רפואה שלמה בת רחל בת חנה. השם יראה בן רחל. חיים. נפגע. Okay, I just saw that today is the first day that Shlomo HaMelech, the second day of the second month, began to build the Beit HaMikdash. So, Meir Yameinu, Zat Hashem, this Beit HaMikdash also. Okay, let's begin from Memtet Amud Beis 49b, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the bottom. The Mishnah said that when you do Hatmana, when you insulate Begizei Tzemer, actually with strips of wool, which usually are muktzah, because they're usually made for weaving. So it says you can insulate with them because they don't increase heat on Erev Shabbat. But you can't move them. Okay? And then we had a machloket at the end. Then when you want to move, so then it says that you take the pot cover and you move them tiltul min hatzad. And then we had a machloket in the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah and the Chachamim. If you tilt the pot, and we'll talk about that later. Fine. So, Omar Rav lo yishonu ela shelo taman behen. Aval taman behen metaltlin otan. The Mishnah is not saying that you can't move them in the same story. Like, you could insulate with them, but don't move them when you insulate. That's the way you read the Mishnah simply. But Rav is saying, no. I mean, at least this point in Rav. It's two separate halachas. Don't move them. They're muktzah. But you can insulate with them, and when you do, says Rav, they're also not muktzah anymore. Since he did an action to show that they're now insulators. They're not made for weaving and spinning. They're insulators, because you did something. But the Mishnah says, that's when you didn't. That's a separate story. That's a separate case. When you didn't insulate with them. Okay. The person, the rabbi that came, the first to Beit Midrash, that's Bar Yomi, Rashi says, he asked the kasha to Rava. How could you say that the Mishnah allows one to move the Gizei Tzemer? They're not muktzah if you use them for Hatmana. So you designate them now for a different purpose, and then they're not muktzah. It says in the Mishnah, Tomim Gizei Tzemer ve'em metalten otan. Keitzadu says, so what does he do? Notelet hakisuy ve'henoflot. Takes the pot cover and they fall. If they're not muktzah, why is the Mishnah giving all these things to take the pot cover till min hatzad? Take it straight. How could you say that? The next line contradicts what you said. So if anything was stated in the name of Rav, this is what was stated. He's saying you have to designate them for Hatmana. Okay? It's not enough to be matman, to use them once for Hatmana, to insulate. But the point is, Yichadan lahatmana. Yichadan lahatmana means you designate them for Hatmana. So you change now, how will you designate them? More than just using them? We'll see soon in Machlekes how you do that. But if to designate them for Hatmana, Rashi says leolam, forever, which means they're changing function, status. They are not being made for clothing and to be sewn and to be spun and woven. They are for Hatmana. It's not enough to just one time use them for Hatmana.
You're changing it forever? Or you're changing it now on tonight forever, and then after you could go ahead and use it for something else that it was used?
Well, right now it has to be real that you're changing it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then it's fine. If right now you think, after you're allowed to do what you want, you're allowed to change something's function after Shabbat. But we're saying, when Shabbat came, they were already changed, their status. So, meaning to say, so Rava is saying like this: if you use them, you insulated with them, just happen to use them because I need something. Then the Mishnah says the only way you can take them off is with the pot cover. They're muktzah. Because the Mishnah is not speaking about that you designated them for insulation. You just insulated, without designating for insulation. Okay? Tov? Okay. Itmanami was also stated, Ki ata Ravin Amar Rav Yaakov Amar Rav Asi ben Shaul Amar Rabbi Lo Shanu Elo Shelo Yichadan LaHatmana Hava Yichadan LaHatmana Metalten Otan. Okay? Same exact statement. If you didn't designate them. If you designate them, you can move them. Ravina Omer differently. He says, Bishela Petek Shanu. Ravina says like this. And the way Rashi explains it like as follows. There's a Taisus on it also. It's like this. There's something called Bishela Petek. What's Bishela Petek? But before I explain what Bishela Petek is, let me explain first, before we talk about Bishela Petek. Ravina is going back and saying, no, whatever Rava said at the beginning is the way we're going to learn Rava. If you use them for insulation, they're not muktzah. Now, the Gemara had a kash on that one. I'll tell you in a second. They're not muktzah. You know why? Because when you use them for insulation, even if you didn't do a whole fancy designation move, that's as if you did designate them. You have strips of wool. Normally they would be used for clothing, but by the very virtue of the fact that you use them for your pot cover to insulate, so that is designating them. That's as good. That equals yichadon le'atmona. Being matun is equal to that. Oh, you're going to say, yeah, so what's the pshat in the Mishnah? The Mishnah says you have to use the pot cover. They shouldn't be muktzah. That's the Mishnah speaking about a case where Rashi explains there was some sort of large pile that they would set up things aside for business, for selling. It was like a box or something, a big thing. Like they put things in there to show off and to sell. Rashi gives examples. He says it's called tash in Old French. Clothing, wool, grasshoppers for sale, salted meat like salami, delicious grasshoppers.
Same way they still do it in the shuks in Israel.
The shuks in Israel. They have some sort of ma'aracha. That's what a petek is. Now, if this strip of wool came from the petek, so Rashi says, then taking it off that table and using it one time for atmanah, that's not good enough. It's a muktzah, because that's not doesn't equal like you were miyachid it. Okay? Because Rashi says you're for sure going to put it back there. Because it was already put out for sale. That's the way I'm understanding Rashi. That's what he says. That's what I'm understanding of here. Okay? Now, but normally, if you use them for insulation, then what? Then it's as if you decided to designate them for insulation forever, and then it's good. They're not muktzah. Okay? Tanya Rami Hochi, we also learned in the Braitas, such Gizei Tzemer Shal HaPetek Ein Metaltlin Otan. Ve'im hitkinan bala bayit l'shtamesh behem metaltlin otan. But if he was miyached them, okay, then it's fine. Meaning to say, Shal HaPetek,
Hitkinan is l'me'ached?
yeah, same thing. You fix them you mazmin them. We're going to soon see how do you do that. But B'Shel HaPetek, the Braita is requiring real yichud, azmana. Okay? So Ravina is saying regular hatmana equals yichud and azmana. But B'Shel HaPetek, it actually needs the real yichud. Tana, Rabbi Bar Bachana Kamei Rav. Rabbi Bar Bachana taught in front of Rav. Chariot shel dekel, shegidran le'etzim. Okay, so now what did we come out? We came out that normally you have to do something that is going to be equal at least to designating them. Okay? So what do you do if you have fronds of a palm tree? Rashi says the leaves fall off and you're only left with the middle part of the lulav and it dries out, those big huge ones. So they used to use them many times as firewood. And that's why I was gidran. Gidran means I harvest them, I cut them down. When you speak about palm fronds, it's called gidran. Leitzim, for firewood, for wood, which is muktzah. Then it's Friday afternoon, Erev Shabbat, v'nimnach alein liyeshiva. Then I said, you know what? I want to use these as benches. In those days, they would sit on them sometimes also. So, is that enough? Just change your mind? No. Because when you cut them down for a muktzah thing. So right away, they're already muktzah, meaning to say, when Shabbos comes at this point, they're muktzah. So now I say, you know what? I think I'm going to use them for sitting. So what do you have to do to change its status from muktzah into that? You have to be miyached, you have to be yichadon. So what do you do for yichadon? So we're going to see three machloket. Tanakama says, tzarech lekasher. You have to tie them up together. Like, I guess they did some sort of tying to tie them together to show that these are designated for sitting. And if you didn't, you can't move them tomorrow. The muktzah, because there's no such a thing as designating in your mind, according to the Tanakama.
This is all before Shabbat.
Yeah, all before Shabbat. This is the Tanakama. There's no such a thing as yichud b'machshava. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, no, ein tzarech lekasher. You don't have to tie them at all. Okay? As long as you think about it, you say, these I'm going to use for sitting. That's good. Now, Rav that taught this machloket, who tani law, he taught it. Who amar law, and he also said, Allah Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Actually, Rabbi Bar Bachana, not Rav. Rav is actually going to pass like the Tanakama. Rabbi Bar Bachana that said this bright in front of Rav said the law is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. But actually, it was stated that Rav himself Amar kosher, like the Tanakam, you have to actually tie them. Ushmuel Amar choshev, which is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. But Rav Asi Amar a third opinion. Now Rav Asi is an Amora, okay, third generation. I saw the car today. So we have Tanoim already arguing about it. One says Maaseh Kshira, and one says Machshava. And what does the Rasi say? A third thing. What is he? How can an Amora make up a third opinion here? Pick a side. Amar Yoshev, Afa Pishul Kishev, Afa Pishul Chishev. He says the least. Less than thinking even. What is he saying? Sit. If you sat on them, even if you never thought that you want to change them into seats, you actually cut them down for firewood, and you were tired, and you just sat down on them once. And you didn't think, oh, now I sat on them, I changed my mind, I want to start sitting on these. No, that was Rav Shimon Gamliel, that's Shmuel goes like that. No, I just did sit on them. That itself, even without thinking and without doing an action of tying, that's the least, by the way. It sounds like it's more than machshava, but it's less than machshava. Because just an act which was a one-time act, without any thought of the future, can already change its status to become a seat, and it's not going to be muktzah. So the Gemara says, Bishlam Rav Hudam Katana Kamal, you have to tie. Ushmuel, I understand that he said to think, Nami Hudam Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. El Rav Asi Damer Keman. Who's Rav Asi picking? Even less than Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Hudam Ki Haitana. Is it possible? Could I bother you for a bottle of water or a cup? Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Hu da'amaki haytana." Oh, he says, sorry. No, well, I'm fine. Yeah, I forgot to tell my wife what time something. So I'm sorry. But you say, I'm sorry. Says the Gemara, "Hu da'amaki haytana detan yotzim b'fkurin u'v'tzipo." There's a third Tana. Not in that bright. In that bright we only said we found two. But the most lenient, we found in a different bright. It says there, Yoitzin, you're allowed to walk out, carry, okay, and move. That's really the main point of our proof. If you're allowed, Bifkorin of a tzipo. Fkorin are like combed flax. Tzipo is also like combed wool, and people would put it on their wounds when they had a wound. So it says, "Bizman shetzavam b'shemen v'kicha v'mishicha." You could do that if you put oil on them and you tie it with a string. Then it's not carrying. You know why? Rashi, by the way, Rashi says that you're not allowed to do this on Shabbat because it's refuah. So Rashi says no, because it doesn't really help your wound. It's just a barrier that your clothing shouldn't scratch into your wound. So it's like a band-aid, basically. So it's a bandage, but doesn't. So you could do it on Shabbat, and you could carry it outside if you tied it, and if you painted it in b'shemen. Rashi does have the word b'shemen, even though the Gemara doesn't, because then it's going to stay on. And it becomes a malbush. It becomes clothing. Clothing is like subordinate to the person, and it's insignificant, so it's not carrying. But lo tzavan b'shemen v'lo kacham b'mishicha, you just put the thing on. It's not sticky and it's not tied on. So then you're just carrying an item. It doesn't become a malbush, and therefore ein yoitzin bohem. And Taisus points out, this is the main raya, that not only ein yoitzin, you're not allowed to move them either. Okay, and the only reason why it says ein yoitzin is because the beginning said yoitzin, but it really means about moving them. But what about if I move them or I walked out like that one time when it was Erev Shabbat? Then by doing it on Erev Shabbat that way, so I showed that this is the way I wear things. So now, whether not only that, so now it becomes, even though it's tongues of wool and things which are usually muktzah, but since you did it on Erev Shabbat, but it doesn't say that you thought you're going to start using it. Just, I did it once. I did it. That already does it for you. He goes like this Tana. So we have three opinions here. Rav, Shmuel, and Ravasi. That's Tana Kama, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, and this Tana. We don't know his name yet.
This is Ravasi bringing in this Tana, right?
We're saying Rav Asi, the Amoira, was following this Tana. What his name is, we're going to see in a minute.
And why would we need him, Kilu? Why didn't the Tanaim mention this? Like, why is it not that he has to bring the same kind of deal?
Well, it's not him. It's just that we found this bright and we're saying that he was following this bright. You want to know why this opinion wasn't mentioned in the first bright? Yeah. They spoke about the Chariyot Shaldekel. It should have been a third opinion. Could be because, because it was the Machlokes Tanakama and Rav Shimon Gamliel. They had like an argument together about a specific case. This is a different case.
Yeah, this is different.
And we're comparing it. So therefore, this man wasn't there with them. But if you put everything together, so now you see that he has a third way of viewing it. Okay. Amar Ravashi, Afanan Namitanina. We have a Mishnah. Also, not just a Braita. We have a Mishnah in Shabbat that goes with this opinion. Hakash al-gabi amito. As you?
No.
Oh, you have straw on a bed. Lo yinaneu biyodo. Aval menaneu bigufo. You're not allowed to move it with your hand. And the straw that was on your bed is muktzah. Because normally they used it to mix into cement or for burning. And if it was on your bed, what do? So you could move it, you could use it with your shoulder. Because that's not real muktzah moving. You do it like your foot, with your body. But if it was animal fodder, or you put it a pillow or a blanket on top of it. On Erev Shabbat. I didn't say that I didn't think I want this forever to make my bed softer. And I didn't do an action. I just happened to put a thing there. Then you can move it with your hand. Shmami no. So we see from here that's the shoot of Ravasi. So what's his name? What's the man the Omer that argues with Rav? Oh no. Slicha. The Gemara is not asking about that man the Omer. The Gemara is actually asking the Tana Kama of Rav Shimon that said you need an action to tie. What's his name? Now the name of this Tana that by Yoitzim Mifikuin and Minanea Biyodoi by the Kash, which is the Shita Ravasi, I don't know his name, but it's probably Rameir. It's not Mishnah. Rameir. Fine, I don't know who it is. But the Gemara wants to know, what is the man, the Omar, that argue with Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's name? At the beginning of the Bright of Chariyat Shodak, he said you have to do an action. He was the most machmir. Well, who's that? The Gemara says Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva. I don't think this is Rabbi Akiva, because it would have said Ben Rabbi Akiva. This is a different Tana. Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva, how do you know that he is the one that the most machmir, you need an action? The Chi'atar of Dimi Amar is the Iri, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Rav Dimi, when he came from Eretz Yisrael, he said in the name of Zeiri, who said in the name of this Rabbi Chanina, the name Ben Akiva. Or maybe actually it's Rabbi Chanina saying over about Rabbi Chanina Ben Akiva, somebody else, different Rabbi Chanina. That's what I think. Yeah. One time, Rabbi Chanina Ben Akiva was traveling somewhere. It was Erev Shabbat, and he found palm fronds that were cut for wood. Muktzah. And he told his students, okay, go out and think that you want to make them into chairs. Now, this is not an action at all. This is the manner of action. So you'll see in a second why. So that we could sit on them tomorrow. The loyodano, I don't know, but I heard, but I'm not sure if he beta mishtehav, he beta evelhav. That the only reason why he gave them permission to go like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, to think that their status should become chairs, instead of doing an action to make them, like tying them up, is because it was a very busy time. Meaning, it was for the needs of a mitzvah, of an Evel, or a chasana. And it was needed for a mitzvah, and it was very hard to do this action, because they were busy with this mitzvah, and it was for the purpose of mitzvah. So he said, just think. But he knew that the story went that he only did it then with this way because there was no... Now you might say, one second, wait, if you don't have no way out, so now you could take a different opinion? So this bothered me very much, it's kasha. So I found the answer, you'll see in a second. But we have to go weiter in the Gemara to find the answer, but just keep that in mind for a second. So the Gemara says, Midika Omari, Beis HaMishtahavi, Beis HaEvel. Since he said it, he knew that it was only because it was either a wedding or a mourning, so then Dafka Beit HaEvel or Beit HaMishta, the Tridi. So then it's only those two because they're so busy. Aval Hacha, but Otherwise, Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva would have said, kashar in, lo kashar lo. If you tied it, it's good. If you didn't tie it, it's not good. Okay. Got it? Now, the answer to that question was that, so he really holds you have to do an action. But it's for, if you're very busy, then you don't. It's muktzah, too bad. So we'll see in a minute. So, Rabbi Yehuda says, a person is allowed to fill up a box of offer, of earth. And in those days, the earth, they used many times to cover up waste or spit, saliva. The oseba kol tzaka. You can do whatever you want with it. And Rashi says that what they do, they would fill up a box, and they would bring it into their home, and they would pour that earth on the ground. And whenever they needed some of the earth to cover something, they would go to the pile of earth. So that seems to be like you're taking something of muktzah, and this is enough of designation. So Dorash Mazutra Mishmei de Mazutra Rabba Mazutra expounded in the name of Mazutra Rabba. It's only if you have a specific corner in the house for it. Meaning, if you just put it in the middle of your house and people are going to walk all over it, Rashi says, so then it becomes part of the ground. If it becomes part of the ground, it's muktzah. It's also, you're hoping that not enough people will step on it and you'll have some extra because you poured it in the middle of your house and there is more earth in your house, so you'll use it. But at the end of the day, once you do that in the middle of the house, it becomes part of the floor, and now it's muktzah. So it's not muktzah, it never wasn't muktzah. Okay? Specifically, if you put it into a corner where people won't step on it. So the Gemara says, Omer Rabbanan Kamei de Rav Papa. So the Rabbanan said in front of Rav Papa, and whenever it says the Rabbanan, you say, which Rabbanan? The Rabbanan in the days of Rav Papa. They're saying in front of Rav Papa. Okay? So the Rabbanan in front of Rav Papa, they said, Kiman, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. This is like Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're not doing an action that shows that you need, that this is going to be used. Because you didn't do anything to the earth. You didn't change the earth. The earth is the same simple earth that it was when it was in the earth, and now it's in the corner over there. So you didn't, now you say, what do you mean, but I put it in the corner? That you didn't change, you didn't do an action to the earth. That's the shita. So it's like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, that all you're doing is thinking about it. You go, you think, I got to get a bucket of earth, put it into the corner of your house. It's very nice thoughts, but you didn't change the earth around. It's not like you're tying, okay? So it seems, says the Gemara, the Rabbanan, because if they went like the Rabbanan, I told you it's Reb Meir before, the first one Damar. It's the Shita of Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva, and no, I told you Reb Meir is something else. Reb Meir is the third Shita, the most lenient. Yeah, Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva, we called the Rabbanon here because in the Tanakama over there of the Chariyat Shodeka, it wasn't mentioned to anybody, so that's like the status quo. Everybody holds like that. Ha'amri bin and Maisa. They said you need to tie, you need to do something. You didn't do anything to the earth. Even if you say that Rav Yehuda's halacha is according to the Rabbanon, so how could it go to Rabbanan? Rav Yehuda's allowing you putting it without an action. Only something that you could do an action to. Okay? you could do something to it that will show that it became the new function. For example, you have chariyot shel dekel, you have the palm fronds. You can tie them together, and then everybody knows that you're going to use them for chairs, however it looked in those days. But what are you going to do to earth to show that you want the earth to use it? You don't do anything to the earth. You just have it. You bring it to your home. Put it in the corner. So it's not something that has the capacity to do an action which will indicate that it has a new function. Lo. Then you don't have to do an action. Even the Mandama that says you have to do an action only holds it when you could do an action. Everybody say, this answers our question from before. I think the Ritva maybe says this. We asked, according to Reb Chanina ben Akiva, tells you have to do an action. What was the proof? Because he said you don't have to do an action, but it was only because it was a wedding or a... So he said, what type of excuse is that? If you hold it, the answer is, because when there's a wedding and there's a mitzvah, and it's too busy, 3D, so then he considered it, is how the Rishonim say, like a thing that you can't do an action to. I mean, we don't have the time right now. Since it's a mitzvah, and the mitzvah creates that we don't have the time to do a proper action, so it's like something that we can't do an action to. And the Manda Omer that holds you need to do an action admits that if you can't do an action, then thinking is enough. So that's why he allowed it before. That's the pshat. Because now I can't do an action because it's too busy. Okay, then you could think. That's the pshat. So the Gemara says, Neimek etanoi.
So that's for anything or just for the...
Or for Hilchos Muktzah? So actually, it's interesting that you're asking that because the proof now, the Gemara wants to say, let us now posit that this concept that you just introduced, that if you could do an action, then you have to, but if you can't, you don't have to. It's not so simple. That's actually a machloket Tanaim, and the machloket we're going to bring is not, I don't think it has to do with Shabbat. Let's see. Listen to this. Actually, the first thing is Shabbat, but we'll see. But it's not about. No, it is about Shabbat. But it could be okay. Let's go a little bit. Okay, are you allowed to wash your dishes? Sure, you could scrub your dishes with anything. Bakol hafin et akidim, anything. Chutz miklei kesef begarta koin. Besides silver, with garta koin. What is garta koin? So Rashi says it's called alum, and it grows in these barrels of wine, and it's the best way to fix silver vessels. I'm not sure what you're doing if you're taking off the tarnish or like a stain. Rashi doesn't exactly say, but he says that since silver is very soft, it is soft, right? It gets bent easily. So what happens is it like, what is it called? Goreroto, memachekoto. It smooths it out. You're sanding it, kind of.
So silver oxidizes. It changes color itself if you leave it for a while.
Right.
So
tarnish, right?
Yeah. So with this, you rub it on, and it brings it back to full shine.
Shine. So right. So Rashi is saying vigoreroto, and you have to. What it does to the silver is actually, it's good. It removes a little bit of it. That's why it could be he's talking about something else on the silver stains. Silver stain. Sometimes there's a thing called silver stain. Even after you polish it, but there's one spot that has a stain. Maybe this, he says tikkun. It fixes the silver. I don't know what he means exactly, but whatever it was, they were scrubbing it with this, and it scrubbed off some of the silver. So that's a melacha of mimachek, of smoothing out, right? Sanding down. So you can't do silver with gartakoin. Now, that sounds like that this opinion holds haneter v'chol mutar. But if you use neter or chul, sand or neter is a certain type of like soap or something, I'm not sure exactly what it is, that's okay. Because it doesn't scrub out the actual silver. Okay? Nice, right there? Very good. Beautiful. Torah. Problem is, Vatanya nete v'chol asur. You said in the first Braita only garta which sounds like neter and chol is great. Problem is, there's a Braita that says even neter v'chol you can't use on Shabbat. My love, so obviously there's a machloket. One says only garta and the other one says neter v'chol as well. It's a problem. So what's the machloket? My love, one holds the Ma'asav beaten in Maisa, Ma'asav beaten in Maisa. It's not because it's going to grind it. What's going on is like this. Both of them don't scrub off any of the silver. Because then what would be machloket about it? One says net yeah, one says net not. Is it memachik or not memachik? It must be like this. It's a shaila of muktzah. You take the chol in a bucket and you burn it into your house. And now you want to use it to clean your silver. So one Braita says, no problem. Another one says, problem. You know what the machloket is? One Braita says, you didn't do an action. And both these Braitas hold that you have to do an action. But the other Braita says, it's fine. Because there's nothing that I could do to the sand to make it, to show and indicate. It's not a bar mi'avda b'maisa. It's not able. It doesn't have that capacity. Therefore, if it doesn't have the capacity, you don't have to. And therefore, it's not muktzah. And the machlokat of here is about the muktzah, not the memachik. There's no memachik. There's no isidor, right? There's no malacha. So you see that this itself, if you hold that you need a maisa, can you get away without doing the maisa if you cannot have a maisa? Is a machlokat tanaim. So the Gemara says, La 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 la. The Kuliyam Levim Nice. The Gemara wants to try to help Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda's way of saying it before was going that you don't need a Maisa if you can't. Now the Gemara wants to say it's a Machlekes Tanoim. The Gemara wants to say no. Let's make everybody go through Rav Yehuda. You don't need. So what's the Machlekes? V'lo kasha. Rabbi Yehuda da Amar Dav Hashem Mischaven Aser. Rabbi Shimon Dav Hashem Mischaven Mutter. Which means Gartikon. Now the Gemara is reverting back to the first way. That mamachik. Gartikon, this thing called alum that grows in the barrels of wine, that's for sure going to rub off some of the silver. So even Rabbi Shimon that says that if you don't have intention to do a malacha, it's okay if it results in that. I'm not trying to rub off the silver. I'm just trying to, I guess, I don't really want to rub off it. I just wanted to get a shine. So, that's not my intention. I'm not trying to get silver off. I just want to get the stain off or the tarnish off. So, even if Shimon would agree that Gartagon's a problem. Why? Because we learned that Moder Shimon b'psik reisha. If something is inevitable, then you can't say, I didn't have that in mind. It has to happen, so it's like you had it in mind. So Gartikon, that's what the Braita says, and nobody argues with that, it's a problem. Yeah. The neter v'chol, which we have a machloket, it's like this. Because the mitziyut is, the fact on the ground is that it's not always going to do it. It doesn't always, it's not as strong as Gartikon. So now, and I don't have intention in rubbing off the actual silver. I just want to shine it or whatever I'm doing over there. So Rabbi Yehuda says, wait, you can't do that because if it ends up happening, you're going to be over on Issa Doraita. Rabbi Shimon says, no, you're not. Because Dav Hashem Mitchaven Mutar. So go ahead and use Neter V'chol. And it has nothing to do with doing an action for muktzah purposes. Everybody agrees you don't need to do an action, okay? So good? So the Gemara says, "B'may oikim telahod shori kirib Shimon." So you're making them on the amr of neter v'chol, okay, like Reb Shimon. That holds dover she'en mitchadven mutar. Bottom line. Or on the bottom line of page 50, A, Nun Amud Aleph. Amos Sefer, the Sefer there says, "Avelo yichof b'hem se'aro." On Shabbat, you're not allowed to scrub your head with that, because it takes out your hair. Okay? So you're going to be taking out your hair. So the Gemara says, the Rabbi Shimon. And if it's Rabbi Shimon, Mishra Koshari, Rabbi Shimon holds that you're allowed to use neter and chul on your head on Shabbat. So how could this be Rabbi Shimon? How do you know that Rabbi Shimon holds like that? The Tanan, because we learned Nazir choifeif umifasfeis avaloi soideik. Nazir can scrub and comb his hair with this sand, like every person on Shabbat. A Nazir could do it in the weekday. Avalo sorek, but he cannot use a comb. He could like be menapet saro without the comb, but with a comb you can't do it, because that's for sure going to rip out his hair. Nazir it has to grow his hair, right? So you see here clearly that, and this is Reb Shimon. Okay, now why does Reb Shimon allow a guy to use neter and chol Nazir? Sometimes it takes out your hair. The answer is because it's not inevitable. And as long as I don't have it in mind, the davar she'eno mitchaven, it's mutar. So if it was Reb Shimon, so then why does it say at the end of the Braita that you're not allowed to do it in your hair? You see by Nazir, in the weekday, which should be compared to a person on Shabbat, that davar she'eno mitchaven is mutar. That's not for sure going to happen. You're telling me it's for sure going to happen, only by the silver it won't for sure happen, but by the hair, the end of the Braita says it's going to happen. But we see that by the hair too, it doesn't always for sure happen from the Nazir. So the Gemara says, Elohava Rabbi Yehudi. You're right. Both Braitot are Rabbi Yehuda, the Dover Shem Etchaven Asur. So then why does one say Neter V'chul is a problem, and one say Neter V'chul is not a problem? There are two Tanaim, according to Rabbi Yehuda, they're arguing what Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is. Hi Tana Libid Rabbi Yehuda Savagar. There's a machloket what Rabbi Yehuda holds in regards to neter v'chul. One mandama says sometimes it takes off the silver. They both agree that it for sure sometimes takes off your hair. So therefore Rabbi Yehuda says don't do it on Shabbat, because even though you're not mitchaven asur, it might happen. But when it comes to silver, one holds it never takes off anything, and the other one holds it does. It could. If it could, and according to Yehuda, you shouldn't do it. That's the machloket. So the Gemara says, "B'maya kimtos." So now you're establishing the Braita Rabbi Yehuda. Amos Sefer, the end of the Braita says that even though you're not allowed to do your hair, but your face, and your hands and your feet. Now, what do you have on your face? You have a beard. It's allowed. Why are you allowed? It can remove some hair. And according to Yehuda, the fact that it could, if it does, it was asur to do it. So the Gemara says, either it's a child. We're talking about a child. So the child can't do his hair, because the child has hair on his head. He has hair. But on his face, he doesn't have. Or a lady, or a saris. A saris is someone who can't, a boy that doesn't mature. Omer Rav Yehuda, Afar levinta shari. Crushed brick. You make into earth. You're allowed to use it to wash your face. or your hair, your face, even if you have a beard on Shabbat. It doesn't rip out here. Okay? Amar Rav Yosef, kuspo the yasmin shari. The sediments, the bad stuff of these sesame seeds is okay. Amar Rav offer pilpuli shari. If they grind not on Shabbat, but before Shabbat they grinded these peppercorns, and now you have this like mush. You wash your face. Amar Rav Sheshet, barda shari. Barda is okay. My barda, what's barda? Amar Rav Yosef, tilta Allah, a third of ohala. It's a root grass that's called ohel. V'tilta as, and a third of it is hadassim. V'tilta sigli, and a third of it is made up of a grass that they call viol, and that has 3 leaves. Okay, that's what this barda is, and you can use it. Omar Rabbi Moshe Medresh Yosef. Rabbi Moshe Medresh Yosef argues. He says it doesn't have to be a third oihel, a third hadas, and a third sigli, but kol heicha deleka ruba ola shapidami. If you don't have most of it being ohel, even if you have more than a third ohala, okay? Let's say you have up to half ohala, and the rest is also okay according to Rabbi Moshe Medresh Yosef. Bo minei and afsheshet, because it won't take off your hair. Ma'ul livtzoa zeitim b'Shabbat. What's the halacha about crushing olives on a stone in order to make them, what you do is you crush them and the bitterness goes away. Because the first bite brings out that bitter taste of the olive. So you want to get that rid of it. So you grind it up on a stone. You're allowed to do that on Shabbat. In the weekday you're allowed to do it. You're not allowed to do that either. Kasavar. He asked that question because Mishum Hefsed Oichlin. Because it's a Bal Tashchit. Leima Pliga de Shmuel. Let us say this argues the Shmuel. Da'amar Shmuel Osei Adam Kol Tzacho Bepat. Person could do whatever he wants. We had this Gemara in Brachot with bread. You could grind it up, use it in a dish to for whatever you want, for whatever purposes. So you see that Shmuel holds that it's not called Bal Tashchit to ruin food as long as you're getting a need out of it. So the Gemara says, "Ambi pat lo me'isa hane me'isi." Pat is not repulsive when you do that. I mean, if you grind it, but this you're totally ruining because it becomes repulsive. And therefore, there's a problem to do it even in the weekday. They were sitting down, these 3 tchacharim. They brought this barda that was made up of these 3 things. They washed their faces on Shabbat. He didn't want to wash. You don't hold of Rav Sheshet that said it's okay. So he said, so Mordechai said, Bar minei demar, de afilu b'chol namilo. Seriously. Because according to him, even in the weekday you're not allowed to do it. Forget about Shabbat. That's what they're saying. Why not? Because he holds like the following brighter. Person is allowed to rub off dirt, the gildei maka, or remnants of a wound, shal b'saro, b'shul tzaro, if it bothers him. He's very sensitive to it. He has dirt on him. He has wound. He has crusted blood. But im b'shvili apot. But if he's doing it to look pretty, to look nice and handsome, asur, that's asur. Because the Torah says, lo yilbash geves latisha. A man is not allowed to wear the clothing of a woman. That includes all sorts of beautifying in any way to make yourself look good. That's why he didn't want to wash his face in Barda. Nothing to do with Shabbat. It doesn't take off your hair. But you want to look pretty? He wasn't dirty. It wasn't bothering him anything. So the answer is you want to look good. That's being like a lady. You're not allowed to do such a thing. The inu command savru. So what did they hold? They obviously didn't hold it was an issue. They washed their face with it. Ki had Tanya. Like the following shita. Rochetz adam ponev yadav v'galav b'chol yom. Every day a person can wash his hands and feet every day. B'shvil kono, before prayers for his master. B'shum shenemer kol po'al Hashem lemaneu. Every action of Hashem is for Hashem. Hashem created everything for His honor. And Rashi says, because kibitzelam alikim asat adam. And also a person that sees a person that looks good, he'll say, Baruch shekach alei b'elami. Blessed Hashem that he has such in his, right? And the halacha is that even a Talmid Chacham could do it to make himself look good. Because it's kavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What time is it?
11:30 almost.
I should stop it. Shekaya.